In this module, we're going to discuss grant making, which is a major purpose of foundations. And again, this is a public foundation, of being also named as a private charity. Our objectives are list methods that can be used as grants to charitable causes by a foundation. Describe why charities must hire experts in the grant process, and believe me, that is very important. And discuss the types of support a foundation can give to a charity. Traditional grant-making approach, it's passive, by waiting for grant requests. For example, Cal Lutheran or the Lutheran Church or Boy Scouts of America want to get a grant. They submit requests to foundations, and then foundations do anything till the request is made to them. It works if foundation publishes its availability, and of course if you publish your availability, you're never sure what kind of responses you're going to get, and you can expect the number of responses, most of which are not consistent with your mission statement. Going back to grant making really has to be part of the mission statement. If we're set up to support, say, welfare, you're not going to do it for education. It should be within your status because, again, that's what's the charter that's approved by the IRS. By far, passive activities are the least efficient and least effective methods. Active pursuit of grant request is much better. It's publishing the mission statement criteria and accept only donee proposals meeting that criteria. And I see many of these sites you have on the internet, which you look at and looking for places to get grants money for a school like Cal Lutheran. You're going to see the mission statement set right forth what they're looking for. So that makes you decide whether or not it's worth for us to even go there. Foundation determines the complexity criteria of the request for proposals. It can be very specific tasks. It can be very general tasks that you're looking at as far as granting. Or by far the most efficient, effective method is this listing of your mission statement and letting people know ahead of time what you're going to give you grants to. We can also publish specific topics to be funded. And then you only publish those charities that would be able to perform that. So if I want to give it to health purposes, I give it to foundations public charities that do health. Time-consuming and requires due diligence to determine an acceptable list of charities. Again, you can buy a list because there are lists out there where people prepare, or you can create your own depending on what your particular foundation wants to do. And it does require an expertise of what a charity does. Realizing that in many foundations, the people who are on the board have no real knowledge about the particular activities of, say, health or education or whatever else you want to have your phones do. Benchmarking is beginning to become popular like every other part of society today. Benchmarking is in. And we follow example of other foundations that have been proven to be successful and doing what the directors want. So you look for foundations out there similar to your own mission statement and say, okay, who are you giving money to? It's a good learning process if you have new directors, and also it's great if you have directors who are kind of lazy or don't have the time to do the job. We do have need for expertise when we're dealing with foundations that you don't have when you're donating as an individual to a public charity. Foundations dealing with public charities don't have expertise of their directors in areas covered by the mission statement, or the charities are qualified to carry out the activities of the grant. So we recruit experts in the area of the mission statement to act as the program manager. And many times, for example, in health area, you hire a doctor, a medical doctor. In the case of education, you might hire someone who's a retired president of a university or a dean of a major department of a business university. If it's for welfare, you might hire someone who used to work for a welfare organization, such as a state agency. Funding of the grants. Endowment funds provide all the funds at once to a grantee, preferred by grantee, but less loss of control by board. And my own experience with the endowment funds is probably not spent the best because there's no real oversight on the part of the grantee. Much better is periodic support spread over time, gives maximum control to the board, but causes planning, scheduling, timing issues for the grantee, because you never know if you're going to get more money. And many times the periods that are covered are in terms of 6 months or a year, 2 years for the periodic support, as opposed to endowment, which might cover anything from a short period to 5 years. And let's see, with types of support, we can have specific support to the grantee. We can provide general activities of a charity, for example, overhead or operating support, which, again, many charities don't have people want to volunteer to pay for the overhead. That's where it's support activities pays off. The grantee generally has the best effort in either case. Again, we don't have requirements for grants. We have best efforts. Measurement of effectiveness by the donor is rare due to long-term nature of activities and subjectivity as to measurements. And quite honestly, not very many foundations really follow up to see how effective it is. Matching funds. It's a popular method of assisting charities by foundations, and they want the charity to spend. We'll take Cal Lutheran. We'll say we're doing a study on student attendance. We want money to be able to analyze it from a foundation. We'll call it the Smith Foundation. The Smith Foundation says, well, we'll give you money, but we want you to match too, because if you're also matching the money, you're going to be more vested in making it a success, and which is a true statement in my opinion. And so the charity that gives based on what they're able to come up with, and again, it's becomes very successful, I think, in performance by having matching funds, and it's used in fundraising drives, by schools, by youth clubs, all over the place. Fundraising drives where they match, and I see it probably more often than anything else is on public television. Summary: in this module, we covered the foundation needs a plan on what causes to support. There's a major administrative expense in the cost of hiring technical personnel to solicit and monitor the beneficiaries of the grant, and there are various ways of supporting a charity and measuring the effectiveness thereof. Remember, these apply for public charities giving money to, for private charities or foundations giving money to public charities.